And welcome to You Write, the podcast where creativity meets community.
I am Matt.
And I'm Rachel.
Each week on You Write, we challenge our listeners to write a story in just 30 minutes using 3 of 5 randomly generated words.
It's a fun and fast-paced exercise to spark your imagination and get those creative juices flowing.
We'll read your submissions, offer feedback, and discuss the unique twists and turns of each story.
Whether you're an aspiring author or just love a good tale, You Write is your place to explore the endless possibilities of storytelling.
So grab you a collection of magazines and some scissors, construction paper, and some glue, and let's dive off into this week's stories.
And remember, the only limit is your imagination and 30 minutes. Let's see what you got.
How you been?
I've been good. I went to Houston this weekend.
Oh, wow. And you're... yeah, okay. Yeah. Because you have travels coming up, too, later.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Well, now that it's a bit dangerous for non-white people to be driving around.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I guess it's always been dangerous for black people to drive.
That's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, it's becoming more dangerous for non-gringo looking people to drive around.
Like us.
Right, we're the gringo looking people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, I am now going to Houston every month instead of us, going back and forth.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's a once a month thing that you guys have going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We see each other for like a few days every month, but we have been taking turns where I'll go there and then he'll come here, blah, blah, blah. But now I will just be going there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lots of windshield time.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. You getting a tan just from the sun through the windshield?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. But also lots of time to listen to audiobooks.
Oh, yes. What you listening to?
I'm still listening to Good Omens and I'm actually almost done.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And it is hilarious. And that made me remember that I forgot to add something from Good Omens in my story this week.
Oh.
I wanted to add something about professional descendants.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. I just think that's hilarious.
That is great.
Yeah, but I really don't know how I would have worked it into this week's story, but
at an office?
Yeah.
Just the whole scene in an office?
Mm-hmm.
Professional descendants are your descendants in your office?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could be your unloved ones too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the unloved ones. But I could have worked it in there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm doing great though, and I'm really excited about this week's stories.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to just dive off into these?
Just dive on in.
Let's just do it.
Let's
just do it. So, who did we pick to read this week?
This week, we have chosen to read Walker by Faith with a continuation of
The Forever Man by the Prismatics 19. And so this will be the continuation, The Forever Man, Unending by Walker by Faith.
Take it away.
Dan Yaris opens his eyes in confusion as they settle on the focal point of the coffee maker across the room. It is a room that Dan Yaris, the Forever Man, does not recognize. This body is seated in a large chair made of pillows with a balcony for its legs covered in the same pillowy material that gives the vague impression and aroma of beef skin. It's a lazy boy. The thought pops in Dan Yaris's mind unbidden, and as it always does in such moments of reacclimation to a new host body, he wonders at the strange and wonderful feeling of the dying thoughts of this body's prior consciousness bleeding over into his own. In his mind, Dan is already cataloging the contents of this small duplex, rented by Daniel Billings, as he will be known here. For each item, Dan Yaris has no sooner seen it than his mind provides the name and function, making the process much easier than any transition he has experienced before in all his thousands of years. Dan recalls his final dying thoughts in the Cider Springs Elderly Care Facility. For the first time, Dan had experienced love. His love for Anita so affected him that it forced him to level the house of cards around which he had built his unending existence and find a way to rebuild this strange life he led with a life of purpose. This is why, as Dan Yaris lay dying in the body of Daniel Jacobs, he threw all his hopes, prayers, and wishes into the ether with one single request of whatever higher power and purpose was guiding his journey. Please, let me be younger. Dan Yaris knew that with each experience, whether days or months, as time and society progressed, his limited time was more packed with knowledge and tactile sensory input and joy, and on experiencing the joy and heartbreak of love and companionship, Dan Yaris no longer wished to journey alone. As he gazes in wonder around this small place where he clearly lives alone, Dan Yaris experiences a new thing. He experiences something that he often gave others as he completed the good work for which he was created, but something that he has never experienced for himself. Dan Yaris feels hope. As he muses, the duplex doorbell rings. Dan rushes, with such wonder at the ease with which these legs walk, to the door, opening it on the most beautiful woman of indeterminable age he has ever seen. She is a mixture of an Egyptian queen and a Parisian model. And while she does not look a day over 30, she is surely in her mid-50s at the youngest. Dan Yaris is speechless, standing and holding open the door. When she speaks, the sound sends shivers down his spine. Well, hi, baby. Aren't you going to invite me in?
Okay, so loved it.
Loved it.
I loved this take on this story.
I did too.
And I loved the idea that, because in the last story, of course, by Prismatics, there was the experience of love for the first time.
Yes.
In Dan Yaris's life. And I like the idea that he kind of gets addicted to it. It's like you don't know what you're missing until you experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he experiences it, he's like, I need more of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to read that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so his desire to be younger is only so that he has more time to spend with a beloved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like you. I think this is a wonderful direction to take what was in the first installment a fairly bleak story.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had a positive message that Dan is doing good,
right,
for the people who are
He's
around
got a
him.
purpose.
Yeah, he has purpose, but to what end? You
Mm-hmm.
know, literally, is there some sort of end? Is there any sort of growth
Mm-hmm.
to Dan?
Right.
And up until that moment, there had been no growth.
Mm-hmm.
Just changes in the people who are around him.
Right.
But he was very static until Anita. And Anita allows him to experience love for the first time. And because of that, he goes into the next installment, I guess, of himself with a purpose beyond existing somewhere else.
Yes.
To help others.
Mm-hmm.
He has a direction for himself.
Right.
And so the way that we're able to get this growth out of Dan, even just within this story, it just speaks to great things on the horizon for Dan.
Mm-hmm.
However, considering his primary purpose is to provide comfort to those around him who are dying, makes me worry for this woman. Makes me wonder, he's like, he may be younger, but young people still die.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me think this could still be a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's just a different level of tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can grant, like the universe or whatever entity is granting this power to him could just as easily put him in a situation to fulfill that same purpose, just not old.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be that's kind of what it left me with, is this kind of unease, because he still has a purpose before this.
Right.
So it's so, there's so many conflicting emotions by the end of this that it's a very powerful story to me.
Yeah, and I wonder if in that moment that he prays to be younger, that he does become younger, because it says that when the doorbell rings, he rushes with such wonder at the ease with which these legs walk to the door.
Yeah.
So I wonder if sitting there, he didn't even realize it, but he was made younger.
Yeah, that's what I got from it, because there's enough context to make us think that yes, he is younger, and it would be fairly safe to say that based on the greeting from this woman who shows up at his door, they probably have similar age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's say in her 50s at the youngest. So we'll assume for the sake of this that Dan is probably roughly the same age as well.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So yeah, significantly younger.
Mm-hmm. I love the description of the woman. She's like a paradox. Like, she looks like an Egyptian queen, but at the same time a Parisian model. Like, those are kind of very different. And also, she does not look a day over 30, but she is surely in her mid-50s at the youngest. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like her age and her appearance are like very fluid.
Yeah, she's a walking, talking contradiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. This line in the 4th paragraph, his love for Anita so affected him that it forced him to level the house of cards around which he had built his unending existence and find a way to rebuild this strange life he led with a life of purpose.
Yes.
Lovely.
That is beautiful.
That is beautiful writing, Walker.
Yes, leveling the house of cards. I love that.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great metaphor.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, especially when considering Dan Yaris and his existence is unending. It really is a house of cards, just putting one on top of the next, on top of the next, on top of the next, and forces himself to just leave all that behind and try something new. Yeah, beautiful writing. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful.
That was, yes, I was definitely impressed by that line. It's just like creates a really, really vivid image.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I just was like seeing the house of cards. One thing that I found really funny was in the first paragraph where he's like, the same pillowy material that gives the vague impression and aroma of beef skin.
Uh-huh.
That was funny.
Yeah. Especially considering, like, it makes you wonder what information he retains between. Like, surely he's heard of leather, right?
Yeah. But it's funny to describe leather as beef skin. But
it reminds me of like your students. Yeah.
Yes,
I saw
exactly.
a beef today. Yeah.
Right. A beef on the hoof.
Yeah.
Yes. But it also reminded me of this one time when I was in Mongolia.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
And I was like, I have leather perfume. I have leather. Your wife is the first one who ever got me leather perfume because I love the smell of leather.
And a leather candle, right? Leather scented candle.
Oh, I have leather candles out the wazoo.
Okay.
Yeah, but
but I was fire hazard actually.
Yeah, but I was in Mongolia and I was in my office and I was wearing my leather perfume. And one of my no, I don't think it was about the leather perfume. It was like some leather item, which those
like
are
hand
like
lotion or something.
Well, I had that too.
Of course.
But there was a leather item that was floating around in the office.
Leather scented toothpaste.
No, an actual leather item.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because those are a dime a dozen in Mongolia. And I smelled it and I was like, I love this smell so much. And they were like, what smell? And I was like, the smell of leather is my favorite smell in the world. And my coworkers who were Mongolian, they just like looked at me like in disgust and they were like, your favorite smell is the smell of cow skin? And I was like, well, when you put it like that.
And also, no, leather. Cow skin and leather are different.
Right. But they were just like, cow skin? And then it occurred to me that, well, that is their word for leather.
Oh, yeah.
And it occurred to me that is kind of weird, actually.
It really is, yeah. It's strange.
Yeah, but it smells good.
It really does. It's a lovely smell. I'm looking over at those baseball gloves, just thinking like,
oh, yeah.
Smell it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I like the description of the wonderful feeling, the strange and wonderful feeling of the dying thoughts of his body's prior consciousness bleeding over into his own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So He's almost like an empty vessel when he first arrives.
Yeah.
And everything is brand new.
Right.
Again, for the first time upon entering. Because we get the aroma of beef skin. So it's like very, it's bandwidth. That's what it is. It's the simulation resetting, and he's downloading into the new body, and it's just a matter of bandwidth. Remember when we were talking about frostbite?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a simulation theory. This could easily fit inside the idea of simulation theory.
It is. But you know what's kind of cool about that? Because I don't know if this has been touched on in previous installments of this, but what happens to the consciousness of the actual person whenever Dan Yaris shows up? Do they get blended? Are they just like, it's almost like, wait, not blended, but is it just that Dan Yaris actually shows up in their consciousness and is just like experiencing it with them?
The way I read it is he has agency, but I don't know that.
Yeah, because
I
was thinking...
I think it is agency, especially when considering the relationship that Dan had with Anita. That felt like his. He didn't feel like passenger. Right,
but have you ever seen... Well, have we talked about this? Being John Malkovich?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that movie's wild.
Oh, it's wonderful. So whenever, I'm pretty sure it's Cameron Diaz that goes into John Malkovich's body, and she is talking about it later after she gets dumped out. And she's like, we love her. And she's talking about some woman. It's like she's there and she kind of does have agency, but she's like experiencing it in the exact same way as John Malkovich is experiencing it.
Interesting.
And she's like, we're in love with her. And I'm pretty sure Cameron Diaz is like, in the show, or in the movie, she's straight. But then whenever she goes into John Malkovich's consciousness, she's in love with this woman.
Yeah, he starts to assimilate these people into this consciousness. Yeah,
exactly. So I wonder if that's that way here. You know, and so Dan Yaris is in there at the same time.
Yeah, and I remember us talking about what happens to the other consciousness.
Yes.
I did want to touch on it because it's interesting that all of them are Dan's and Daniel's. Daniel Billings, Dan Yaris, and then the previous one was Daniel Jacobs, something like that. But anyways, like they're all variations on Dan. Are we supposed to be pulling something significant from that? Because this would be, his name is Dan Yaris. He was in Dan Jacobs or whoever it was. Now he's in Dan Billings. I don't know. It seems like a very intentional choice to have them all variations of Dan. So I was wondering if we're trying to touch on something.
I don't know. That does sound intentional, though.
I'm gonna call it back to simulation theory, and the simulation is broken.
Yeah.
And like he just keeps cycling into new Dans.
New Dans.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe so. But I was thinking, if he is sharing a consciousness with the previous or the current inhabitant of that body, then maybe he's also sharing his own wonder and marvel at the world. And I feel like that does happen sometimes whenever people are like closer to death, is that they almost become, well, we always say they become like children, but it's that they become like more like astounded at the world, like looking at it in wonder like a child.
Yeah.
You know? And so what if it's just a description of something that happens every time to every person that's about to die? And this is just like kind of personifying it.
There's a Dan going around to every Dan.
And there's a Matt going around to every Matt. Yes.
And an Erichi going around to every other Erichi.
Oh, that'd be cute.
Interesting. Yeah, lots to think about with this one.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's a very, very cerebral story, I think, in just the way it's encapsulating so many different emotions and ideas while not explaining any of them. It's just this presentation of all of this. It's just great. Yeah. Got any other notes?
That's all I got. That was lovely.
That was very lovely, Walker. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jake, for the for offering it up as a candidate.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. And I wonder, and I feel like it will, but I wonder if Walker's take on this story, on this series, will influence Jake's Fuker takes.
Fuker take. Fuker take.
Fuker take is.
Yeah. Well, but I believe based on the reaction from Jake, I think
it will.
Yeah, I think Jake had very similar feelings that we did. Like this is a substantially good writing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Walker.
Thank you, Walker. And now let us move on to The Silent Storm Part 3 by Matt.
That's me.
That's you. So Matt. I really enjoyed this.
Okay.
Yes, I did. And it was like very like I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but I just want to say cerebral because I feel like you just said that, but it was very cerebral. And I just love the idea of you didn't notice, or he didn't notice. Is it Tommy or Jake? Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Yeah, Jake didn't notice that those things were missing until he heard like the clink, of the dog tags or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, and it's like amazing and refreshing to hear that.
Yeah.
But I didn't even realize that was missing.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like reality is trying to come back, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what really intrigued me to choose to do this story as this continuation is the uncertainty of everything. And essentially I just wanted to inhabit this scene with these characters for a little while.
Yes.
And I had something, I'd visualized something about a tree line, and I thought like this is important. And so I treated it as a threshold. And that threshold was basically moving from this area that has been affected by this cataclysm out of this area.
Yeah. I just really like that paragraph where he's starting to like hear those things again. And it's like just a description. I love that. And that's exactly what it is. A threshold. The sounds of the world flood in around him. Rustling leaves, the slap thud of his feet hitting the damp, packed forest floor. He can even hear the tinkling of the tags on Tommy's collar, bell-like, and oh, how sweet it is. I love that. And just like how amazing the sound is that his legs become weak,
Yeah. So that I wanted to make that very very clear as we literally crossed a threshold, and I tried to achieve that clarity in as many ways as possible. So much of what came before is very very simple, very sparse language. I try to keep sentences simple as well.
I didn't even notice that.
So, and a lot of it is this recollection of, I say a lot of it. What I feel like I missed the beat on was I wanted a lot of this to be recollection of Sarah and like memories that they had. So it's a lot of looking back. He's not really present. And then at that moment when he crosses the threshold, it gets complicated. It gets rich.
Ooh, yeah.
And it gets...
So it's almost like before crossing the threshold, everything is kind of like stilted and muted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and the turn starts to come, I guess, whenever he starts to realize something is wrong. Like the language gets a little bit more complicated. I think strictly because it's hard to explain something like that very simply.
Yeah.
So,
is it that in your mind, do you feel like that kind of like stilted and muted situation started with the beginning of this whole thing?
Yeah.
And it was that had been happening and he just hadn't even realized it. And then he becomes aware of it gradually.
Yeah.
And then the threshold is the forest?
Yes. In this case, yes, the edge of the forest was a threshold that they crossed. And frankly, that was an arbitrary point in the story that I was like, okay, we need to move forward. I've got this barrier right here. We're just going to walk through there, and that's going to be the other side of this experience, this cataclysm, I guess. But.
Yeah. And then that's interesting how Tommy's and Jake's voices are right.
Yes.
But everything else is not.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you exactly?
It means they're not supposed to be there.
Okay.
They are fish out of water.
Mm.
And I didn't want to just call it out. I wanted to see if you got it, but like, yeah, they're fish out of water. And so I wanted to basically call up that metaphor.
Uh-huh.
'Cause it's commonly used by Tommy pulling a fish out of the water.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was trying to do double duty. I try to work in Easter eggs, but they never really work, I guess.
Oh.
But I needed them to eat
Yeah.
because they were going to starve otherwise. And so I was like, well, what are they going to eat? And I was like, well, I'm just like, they're not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
They're fish out of water. They're going to eat fish.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they are working, but they're just like over my head, you know? But let me tell you where I went with that.
Okay.
The fact that their voices were working and everything else didn't sound right or whatever, and it was kind of like out of place, is, you know, I was just having this conversation with my students like right before I came here.
Okay.
About time travel.
Okay.
And about the time and space continuum. And and I was like on the verge of a realization. Yes, about the fact that, well, we're like looking at time all wrong. Like we look at time as though it's like a place, like the past and the future.
Uh-huh.
And in a way it is, because time and space are the same.
Yeah.
But in a way it's not necessarily a place you can go to. It's like we're looking at it all wrong. It's like we are, no matter what time we go to, we're still the entities that we are.
Uh-huh.
And we're still the entities that we are. And so, like, we got Tommy and Jake here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They are legitimate entities.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's happening around them is not they're not relative to what's happening around them. What's happening around them is relative to them.
Okay. So more like, how do I say it? Egocentric, like person centric.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't like that because I try to get away from that idea. But yes, more egocentric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Really?
I hadn't considered that angle.
Yeah. So here I'm like, okay, they're in this place that seems weird.
No, that's not true. I did consider that. Okay. Actually, that's kind of that's fascinating.
Wait, tell me your take on that.
So, if this was mine to continue, and I probably won't continue this because it's not mine to continue really, but the direction that I had in mind for this ultimately was about, I think, 5 installments, maybe 6. The next one would be this one was trying to show that this cataclysm was not total. It was not everything is gone, but it will be, because the cataclysm is still in this place that they go to. So the storm, the cataclysm has returned, is the end, basically showing like we're not out of the woods. But ultimately, Tommy is basically guide to Jake, but this would be spoilers if I was going to do it. Tommy wouldn't make it. And Jake would basically become like a new atom of this world that is being like eviscerated. Like it's going back to nature. And only Jake would remain.
Interesting.
That's kind of what I was getting from the other stories. Is like, this is a cataclysm. Like this is going to ruin, not necessarily ruin, but it will literally change all of the earth and humanity. And basically what is being wiped away is humanity. Oh. And so all that will be left is one man to start it over again.
Oh, to start it over. What is he going to like multiply within himself, or? That's
the part I wanted to get really creative with. And that at one point during a cataclysm, Jake is not completely safe for whatever reason, and a rib is removed. Oh. And from that rib comes a woman.
Going back to the Garden of Eden.
Right, yeah.
Or he could be autochthonous. Yes, autochthonous.
Autochthonous. Spell that.
And that's funny you asked me to spell that. But AUTOCH.
Thonous.
Thonous.
Autochthonous.
Autochthonous.
Autochthonous. Okay.
Yes.
Fascinating.
And this is a Greek word.
Okay.
Do you know what it means?
Absolutely no idea.
Okay.
Although I could nope.
Okay.
I lost it at auto.
Well, auto, yes. Auto means what?
Self?
Yes.
Yeah.
Self. So autochthonous means self-propagating. So, for example, Gaia in Greek mythology is autochthonous.
Okay.
So she multiplies without having to have a, partner or whatever. Although she also multiplies with a partner, which is the sky.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit gross, honestly.
Okay.
But anyway, and so, yeah, Jake could become autochthonous.
Yeah. Or because so much of this is skewing Christian, at least in my kind of take on it, that it wouldn't necessarily be autochthony, I guess. It would be it's this force, this whatever this energy is that's causing all this to happen is going to reset everything.
Yeah.
You can call it God.
Okay.
But in the case of this so far, it's a sound storm. It's a cataclysm. It's so many things that they're going to reset everything.
That's amazing.
So that was more or less my take. And it was I really wanted to call out the sound for the tags, which you mentioned, the tinkling of the tags and how important that sound was. And it was everything in me to just not directly say how sweet the sound.
Yes.
Because that was it really is an amazing, graceful moment for Jake.
Yeah.
And to just call it out directly as how sweet the sound.
Yeah.
I wanted to get it as close to that line without just saying it straight out.
You did say that though.
I said, "Oh, how sweet it is."
Yeah.
I didn't quote the lyrics directly.
Oh.
I danced around it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see that now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Rad.
Yes.
This was a lot of fun to write. Also, is very challenging.
I mean, seems like it.
The present tense, I've come to find out, is not my friend for storytelling. You don't know how much trouble I had with the second paragraph, him recalling the memory of him and Sarah at the B&B.
Yes.
That was a slog for me.
Oh, wow. Because of the present tense?
Well, yeah, because it's technically the present perfect tense, right? For the...
Well, let me look at it.
Or is it...
Hold on.
Yeah. Had walked.
No, that's past perfect.
Past perfect, yeah. Yeah, so past perfect tense in order to recall something in the present moment.
Right.
Ugh, that was a struggle, man. And then I was like, not doing that again. Got out of that paragraph now, and then just present tense from then on.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned a lot just in that second paragraph.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that was tricky.
Yeah. I mean, it looked tricky. It also, that whole conversation, it just reminds me of the movie from like the 60s, Time Machine.
The H.G. Is it an H.G. Wells?
Yeah, it's
adaptation?
H.G. Wells.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the 60s version.
Oh my God. Me and my brother used to watch that like constantly.
Okay.
Like maybe every weekend we watched it. But in that, he's in this lame ass like time machine, which is like this big chair with like a crystal lever. And it's like almost like a big old fashioned recliner.
Like a lazy boy.
Kind of. and he's going and he's looking at, he sees a store, like a clothing store. He's like fixated on that. And he sees it change as he goes back, and he sees the fashions change in the window. It's almost like everything's on rewind.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes forward, and that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so cool. But it reminded me of that because it's like he's the same. He remains.
Yeah.
But everything around him is like getting built up and like going down and just like changing like everywhere, like as he goes.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, a passive observer to everything happening around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did see the adaptation, the newer adaptation. I guess it's a remake.
Yeah, it's a remake.
It's not bad.
I heard of it, but I never saw it because I just am too much of a fan of the 60s one.
Right. Yeah. So on parting notes for this one, so I essentially wanted to break down Steve's stories as best I could into a question. And the question that I arrived at is, what is something that, when stripped away, leaves behind pieces of humanity with survivors to witness it? And that was the question that I came up with, because it's like we're stripping away so much. And so that was just kind of the question that I was holding in my mind. Like, we're stripping away everything. And so it just, that's more or less the question that I kept holding in my head, was something we can strip away that leaves behind pieces of humanity and survivors to witness it.
So this is like, what is the something here then?
It's just, I'm just trying to hold a question in my mind. And so what that left me with is, you can there's so many things that could be that something. In this case, I think it's just sound, the sound of the world, and ultimately kind of humanity itself and its trappings, but also language. Language has essentially been stripped from this world, because if there's one person and one dog, they cannot communicate properly. So the language that they use to speak has been stripped away, but they must bear witness to its loss, essentially. So those are the two things that I ultimately came up with.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was just really, it was a very fun mental challenge to do this. So
yeah,
I really enjoyed this week. Yeah.
I mean, it was very enjoyable to read. And I will be interested to see if Steve decides to build upon it, you know?
Yeah.
But Steve, if you do that, I vote for the dog to survive, Tommy. I don't want him to die.
Yeah. Me neither.
Give us some shred of hope. He already lost his wife and everything else.
I know. It's just, in the story I had in my mind, that's just no way. There's just no way. But he's essentially the guide. Yeah.
Okay.
He's the one to lead him to the Garden of Eden, essentially.
Like Care Bears.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah?
You know Care Bears?
Oh, no. I thought you said Care Bears. I was
No.
like...
Care Bears, I think, do that too. No, Care Bears. Although that's really not how you say his name, but I like to say that because it's cute.
How do you say it?
Cerberus.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that. I don't.
It's the Hound of Hell. It's a 3-headed Hound of Hell.
It is.
That leads people across the River Styx.
Yes.
Yes.
How did I forget that?
I don't know, but I like to call him Care Bears.
The Hellhound.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love the Hellhound. Good Omens. It's so amazing.
Good old Care Bears.
Oh,
love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Care Bears.
Awesome. Well, okay. Up next.
Thank you. Sorry.
Oh yes,
I was
you're
gonna
welcome.
Say, thank you, Steve, but I was like, no, wait, that wasn't Steve. Thank you, Matt. That was awesome.
You're welcome, and thank you, Steve, for offering it up. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
I really like the very deep, take that you took on this. The depth that you went. It was just very I don't know. Words aren't working for me today. It was very cerebral.
Perhaps even surreal.
Yeah, cerebral. I feel like you took it in you went deep on this. I like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun thought exercise.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's up next?
Well, up next we've got Reverberation by Jake, and it is based on Consequences by Rachel. That's me.
That's you.
That's me.
That's you.
First of all, Jake, thank you for taking this on.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. I'm only a little disappointed. It's okay. It's okay. I'll get over it. But no, it's fine. No big deal.
I loved this.
Yes, absolutely. I went back and read Consequences because I couldn't remember all the details about it.
I did too, because I also couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But I feel like you really captured the spirit of this. This is definitely the spirit that I was going for. That just the whole, I don't know, just the way that the first person character presents and sees things. I just feel like it was very spot on.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Spot on in tone, and I think took a great direction too.
Yeah.
Just a very sadistic person
Mm-hmm.
and serial killer.
Yes. And you still avoided really going into details about what exactly she's doing to these people.
Uh-huh.
You know?
As you did in Consequences. Yeah, it's all left very vague.
Yeah, because I kind of wondered where you were going to go with that. Like if you were going to, I don't know, spell it out or just still leave it vague.
Yeah, I love that it's left to the imagination.
Yeah, totally.
Like all we know is they're bound and gagged.
Yes. And they're having horrible things done to them. We just don't know what those things are.
Yeah. Yeah, the worst horror is the ones that we can imagine for ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really like how you said I showed him my truth over the next couple of days. I love that. Because that's exactly, what I was saying in the first one is I set my truth free.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I showed him my truth. That's creepy as hell.
Yeah. It's very effective. And I like that theme continues through that this is truth. And because it's the first person perspective, to come out and spell out what is happening would feel, I want to say incongruous, but it doesn't feel true to the character, I guess.
Yeah.
Because to them, it wouldn't be horror. It's just truth.
Right. Exactly.
So to describe it in horrific terms would be incorrect, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And also another thing that is incongruous with the character is then a thought occurred to me, something brilliant and bright. The idea that having a conversation with this person was such a novel idea to the character, I felt like was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And basically the innocence of this person does not allow them to be shamed by them being there, I guess. It feels like it's all around shame of some kind, because that was in your story, it was the shame of the uncle, like her shame around that sensation. And it wasn't until she goes to the therapist and the therapist is like, no, it's like that's just truth, you need to let that free.
Yeah.
And then that freedom of that truth is this expression of shame on all these unsuspecting people.
Yes.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh, yeah. And I also really liked the line where it's like revealing to Liam just how fucked he was had to be one of the singular greatest joys of my life. Like that really captured the sheer sadism of this person.
Yeah.
Like she loves it. Like this is the best day of her life.
Yeah. Cannot get enough of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even the killing. It's it's sadism. It's
seeing them hopeless and helpless
and in pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just so, I mean, I just really like how you built upon this idea, because for me, as I mentioned when I first wrote this, it was actually very hard for me to imagine this. Because I mean, the links that I go to not cause harm to people are ridiculous. I mean, beating people down physically is one thing, but that comes easy.
Yeah, in roller derby practice.
Right. But to actually like hurting people, like making them scared or feel ashamed or whatever is just like, and so to try to put myself into that character was very, very hard for me. And so I really like how Jake built on this, and like helped me to kind of develop that.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for me to do on my own.
Yeah, this absolutely is this develops this character and the plot just very, very effectively while holding to the original themes. By the end of it, like they sound like accomplices to each other.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if it would be, if you were to continue this, would you consider doing a perspective from Liam? Or would it always has to be from this?
No, that could be cool. That could be really cool.
It could be cool.
Yeah,
it
that could be really cool.
It could also unhinge the whole thing in a delightful way, I feel like. There's just, I have so many questions about Liam.
Yeah.
Because he just seems like this fresh, bright, young person who is unscathed by the world.
Right.
And his first interaction with the world is with a psychopath.
Yeah. But also, it seems like he himself is kind of a psychopath. And it reminds me a little bit of Dexter.
Yeah, I made the same comparison. Yeah,
sometimes, like a couple of times, his victims became his accomplices.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, Dexter and Lila.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the exact same thought. Basically becoming a duo, which is just a recipe for utter disaster. So there's a lot of direction available to this story. It's just how would you go about continuing it? Yeah. I do think a perspective from Liam.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool.
It'd be very tough. That'd be a tough one to write. There's a lot of psychology in there. Yeah. That you'd have to unpack all of that, because this is his trauma essentially. So he had no. It seems like he had no trauma.
Right, but he was kind of messed up
because he ends up this way. Yeah.
No, like even before that, because he says he was just different. Like he's kind of a sadist too, but not for any reason. He doesn't have any excuses.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like Mr. Mercedes. The kid in Mr. Mercedes, like he's just different.
Yeah. Well, his mom does blow him off, so right. That's pretty traumatic, honestly. But
just the writing in this is so, it's just very effective, and it really did strike the same tone that you did. I simply had to have him.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely. Ooh, love that.
Yeah. That was very good. Very, very chilling.
Yeah. It shows that anticipation, that excitement.
Right. Yes.
That the insistence, and it's very creepy, very off-putting.
It is.
And just in one line, I simply had to have him.
Yes.
Yeah. Why is simply doing so much there?
I don't know, but it's doing
probably
a lot.
Because it's not a simple idea.
Right.
But she simply must have him.
Yes. And I again love that that you leaned into the story. Like, I just love the idea of a female being like this.
Yeah.
You know, I love that, like, reversal of stereotypes. And Jake, I want to thank you for leaning into that. And you really like met me where I was trying to go.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
The last line, I told him that he could just call me his Aunt Dana. That made me laugh a little bit, but also was, I mean, very intriguing.
Harkening back on the original trauma, maybe?
Yeah.
Aunt and uncle.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah. Basically becoming the monster that created her in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The aunt/uncle that traumatizes the virgins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. And Dana, that's just so random to me.
Yeah. Admittidly, that's it made me wonder. It's like, why Dana?
Yeah, but I like it though.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. It's like, is there any significance around Dana, the name? I don't know any.
I don't know either. Like, I grew up with a Dana, but I'm pretty sure that you don't know her. Nobody here knows her.
Maybe the uncle's name was Dan.
Maybe.
So we have Dana.
There's also Dana from Ghostbusters.
And wasn't there a Dana Carvey?
Dana Carvey, yeah.
Yeah.
Who is a guy.
Right.
Yet has a girl name.
Right. So maybe Uncle Dana. I don't know.
I like it. I don't know either, but I like it.
Just sheer speculation.
Yeah. I love it.
I just love the reactions around Liam in this situation. Like, once she has him, he didn't whimper like Josh. He didn't plead like Isaac. He didn't beg or even acknowledge I was there. No matter how forceful or sadistic I was, he just stared ahead, unblinking, unbiased. It reached a point where I was ready to scream instead of him. Then a thought occurred to me, something brilliant and bright. Yeah, just that whole paragraph is so good at characterizing Liam and our point of view character all through her monologue, her observations. Like it's doing so much so quickly.
Yeah.
I loved that paragraph for all the work that it did.
Right.
And just how, no matter how forceful or sadistic I was, he just stared ahead, unblinking, unbiased.
Yeah.
It's just so good at just characterizing how the word different at the start. It's hearkening back on that description and giving more to us as far as like what that means without all through her perspective, through her interaction with him.
Yeah.
It's just so effective.
I
loved that.
Me
was
too.
so well done.
It's so gratifying having
and her lunacy at it. Like I was ready to scream.
Yeah.
Because he won't break.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she just wants to break these people.
Yeah.
It feels amazing having, it's like I feel like I created this character and it is like coming to life. You know?
Yeah.
Like having somebody else write a kind of a continuation is like almost like giving wings to this character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
I like that.
I think that's all I have.
That's all I got too.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you, Jake. That was great.
Excellent work. Excellent continuation. And thank
Yes.
you, Rachel.
Sure.
And last, we have Rachel's Guide to Suicide Success by Rachel.
That's me.
That's you.
That's me.
Option 6, 9mm milkshake. I like that this is basically epistolary. Dearest hopelessly lost reader, like writing a letter to them.
Yeah.
And well, here you are again. So let's just jump right into it. Welcome to round 6. And I love like all the little just toying with all these things. Round 6.
Yes.
Most common suicide method in modern history: shooting yourself.
Actually, driving over here, I was literally like laughing out loud at that line. The most classic suicide, one of the most classic suicide methods in modern history.
Yeah, classic suicide methods in modern history. Yeah.
Oh man, I was just giggling.
This option can be fun and it really makes a statement. Also, I was curious, you don't just disappear, never to be heard from again. You don't just drift gently into that good night. Is that the call out to do not go gently into that good night?
Yes.
Okay. I was curious if you didn't specifically say you do not go gently into that good night. You say do not drift gently.
Yeah. I just like the word drift.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you don't leave everyone with an indelible, creepy image.
You leave them with chores.
Yeah. Kim was reading this earlier and she's just like, you leave them with chores. That girl.
It's true though.
Yeah.
It's true though. And then I did start thinking about it and I was like, you know what? That is a kind of a great way to go. It's because, you know, anger is a great antidote to sadness. So instead of being sad, you're pissed off because you're like, wow, we are going to be finding random bits of brain matter for years to come, bitch. You know?
What an asshole.
Yes.
For doing that. Yeah. So rather than grieve,
just be pissed off.
You just fume.
Exactly. Exactly. Or you have to try for like years to sell the suicide house.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's a major burden to the unloved ones in this case.
Exactly.
Financially, emotionally,
psychologically. In every way.
Physically, you got to deal like clean gray matter off of the office wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is some bullshit.
It's some real bullshit. Yeah. and you just try to turn as many phrases as possible to describe dying.
Yes.
And it's like you just grabbed everyone that you could think of.
And I had, there were so many more, but I was like, there's only so many times I can say different things for dying.
And you worked in Cross the Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, it was there. I was waiting for it. I do think my favorite was you don't just drift gently into that good night.
Yes.
That was wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
By, like overdosing or something like that.
Yeah. Now let's get down to brass tacks. How do you actually pull this off? Well, you get a gun, point it at yourself, and pull the trigger. It's just like, oh God.
What? That's what you do.
It is true.
It's not rocket surgery.
I like how much lead up we have to. Okay, now brass tacks. How do you pull this off? And like you read this and you see this block of text following this, and then it's like it's explained in the next sentence. So it's like, what's coming after this? Like what can we do to justify the rest of the words? It's not rocket surgery.
Hey, rockets get sick too.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
There are a few details you should consider.
Yeah. And honestly, level and point were just pretty much handed to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those were obvious.
Yeah, they're like, here you go.
Exactly.
So much so that I didn't even recognize them as being used.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They were definitely a natural part of the story.
Yeah.
And I was just like sitting there thinking about what would I think if I heard of someone shooting themselves in the forehead? I would be like...
Yeah, just the ergonomics of making that happen. It's like you have to use your thumb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, wow, what a psycho. You know? Why would you do that? Why? Just why? I don't know.
Or in the back of the head. Like,
oh, yeah.
That's even more like contortionist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty doable, honestly.
Oh, if you want like psycho, just like straight down, like from the top of the head.
So fucking crazy.
That's a psycho.
You're right. That's just absurd. Oh man, I wonder if that's ever happened. That's funny, actually.
Oh man. Yeah, when you started getting into the details of just imagine like what people are gonna say like when they find like if you really want to freak them out, like hold it just away enough so that you're gonna drop the gun.
Yeah.
Whenever and just like the poor detective's like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, is it like were they murdered?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, with that question mark again instead of a period. Yeah.
Exactly.
Punctuate your death with an even bolder question mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
A maddeningly puzzling investigation is sure to ensue.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be fun. And I was just thinking because I was thinking about, but I didn't have time in the time allotted to talk about the fingerprint situation. Because I'm like, well, you could wear a glove. Okay, but then it would be obvious that you're wearing a glove.
Yeah, and there's blood on the glove. Yeah.
Right. But then I'm like, I wonder if there's some way that you could like have like your hand right here and then maybe reflex would like pull the glove off. I don't know.
So much thought devoted to this.
Well, either that or, you would have to get other people's, if you wanted to make it into a mystery, you would have to get other fingerprints on the gun.
Right, yeah.
But you don't really want to frame people for your murder.
So you just use your own like toe prints or something?
or what if you go to like a morgue? And just put a bunch of dead people's fingers all over the gun.
Yeah. These fingers belonged to Abby.
She's gone now.
Abby Normal.
Yes. But then that would be really funny if it's like we came up with a hit in APHIS. APHIS, wasn't it called APHIS?
APHIS.
I don't know.
What are we talking about right now?
The fingerprint registry.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
I thought it was called APHIS, but anyway.
Okay, maybe
we came up with a hit, and the fingerprints belong to, John Smith, who just so happened to have died a week ago because he's in the morgue, but this death happened last night. That would be such a fun mystery.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Actually, that would be great.
That'd be a fun murder mystery, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh. Just break into a morgue.
Do you think they would go check and see that his fingers are missing?
No, you don't have to take his fingers. Just
just take the gun to the body, yeah, and then just do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe just you file down one of your own fingertips, the trigger finger.
That wouldn't be suspicious at all. Why is this one finger smoothed down like Men in Black?
Oh man.
I gotta say I'm a huge fan of the ending, the last last two paragraphs, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
That you're aiming for gender equality in these metrics.
Yes.
Ladies, a little shout out to my ladies. Let's shatter stereotypes.
Yeah.
What a fucking way to shatter a stereotype. To basically tell women, rookie numbers, we got to bump these up, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They're like, oh, only men have the balls to shoot themselves. Oh, really? All right. Well, let's do something about this.
Ladies.
Looking
at you.
Ladies.
Shit.
Yeah.
And consider retreating to the kitchen where they say you belong and whipping up the final meal that they say you're not supposed to have. A 9mm milkshake.
Yes.
So many levels. Because, calling out like women won't shoot themselves.
Yeah.
And no milkshake. That's no good for you. So I just love the layers of that metaphor.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Lovely.
Thank you.
And then the appended last paragraph.
Yes.
But if you still find yourself among the living next week, don't forget to tune in for option 7. Totally hung. You did that on purpose.
Oh, yes.
Because
very
fuck
much
it, it's creepy.
I very much did that on purpose.
Oh.
Totally hung.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I did feel like I channeled
Unhinged.
I channeled Walker here, who was trying to channel me.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to channel Walker, who was trying to channel me.
Channeling yourself.
Yeah.
Channeling Walker.
I channeled Walker. Channeling myself. And yeah, I felt like I really got into it, you know? I was really just like, okay, yeah.
It sounds like you had a blast doing this.
I kind of did.
Yeah.
I kind of did.
Yeah. You see why Walker keeps returning to this story now.
Yes, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to like desecrate a what do we call those? Those things that you're not supposed to talk about?
Taboos.
To desecrate a taboo. It's fun to desecrate a taboo.
Fuck yeah.
It's like peeing on
taboos.
A grave. Or a taboo.
Yeah.
Or the oldest lighthouse in the US, which I've done.
Where was that?
It was up in the Northeast. I want to say Maine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's in Maine.
Yeah. It was in Maine or Rhode Island.
I think I've been there.
I've peed on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah. It was great.
Just to let everyone else know Rachel was here.
Mm-hmm. To market. Yeah. I did.
You're going to get a letter after someone hears this.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get a letter from that lighthouse. Like,
yeah.
Just what the hell, man?
They're going to be like, how dare you?
It's like, please don't let that gain traction for the populace, like peeing on lighthouses.
No, I mean, I wouldn't pee on any lighthouse. It was because it was the oldest one in the nation.
I have standards. Come on.
Standards. That just reminded me of in Mongolia.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I'm serious.
I know you're serious.
They're like, look, you know what? Are there Mongolians listening to this right now? Probably not. Okay. But I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that this happens. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. Hey, they love it. And you know what? They're probably right. But But drinking...
Where is this going?
Drinking the pee of your mother or
Ugh.
a 3-year-old boy
Ugh.
is good for you.
In Mongolia.
Yes.
Ugh.
And will heal your ills. Okay? They might be right. Okay?
They might not be.
They might be. Anyway, and so like this Mongolian lady during a training session was telling the newcomer Americans about this. No. The American helper was telling them about this. And he was like,
Okay.
the look on your face is really funny. He was like, drinking they will sometimes drink the pee of either their mother or a 3-year-old boy, and that is supposed to like cure things.
But not girls, not 3-year-old girls.
No.
Okay.
No. And anyway, and of course all the Americans were like, ew, or whatever. And then afterwards, the Mongolian lady who was his like teaching partner was like, he made us look bad. Like he explained it all wrong. Of course he didn't mention the fact that the mother has to be on a specific diet for 3 days before she gives the pee of all meat, a specific all meat diet before she gives the pee. And we were like, that wouldn't have made a difference.
That would have probably made it worse. That sounds much worse, actually.
That's worse,
God,
bro. She's like, we have standards for the pee, idiots. It's not what you think. It's like, no, actually, it is what we think.
Actually, you adding that, it's worse now.
Mm-hmm.
It's worse now.
It's worse than we thought, actually. But
yikes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yikes.
Wait, shout outs to Walker by Faith for being selected here today. Excellent work with that continuation. Lovely. And then also Jake and us.
Yes, us two.
Yeah, us.
Us two. The two of us.
Yeah.
Just the two of us. You and I.
Do you think we could make it if we tried?
We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Yes. Yes, I do.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank y'all. It was very fun.
It was. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we had stumbled across that idea in an episode to do other people's continuations.
Yes.
That was really gratifying. Yeah. Lovely.
Wasn't that my idea?
Can't we just say it was a collaboration?
Yeah, it probably was, honestly.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No, I think you said something. And then I was like, oh yeah, like traveling essays, and then or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
But that moves us into episode 36.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the prompt for episode 36 is an intro line prompt. And apologies, it has been a busy day, and the prompt we have not gotten it out yet as of this recording. So as soon as we're finished, I will get this posted. And yeah.
So
intro line prompt with the line, I was laughing so hard that I could no longer breathe and tears streamed down my face. That is your intro line.
Yep.
And the words to accompany this intro line prompt are feed, carbon, selection, reduction, and height. Got a word for feed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feed. I actually really like this word because it can be we always think of the verb, like feed me.
Yeah.
Feed the baby. Feed whatever.
Feed me. Yeah. Yeah.
Has anybody ever literally seriously said feed me ever? Because if
like
it's
in a serious context,
yes.
Hopefully not. No, I have.
You have?
I have.
Wait.
Do you okay? I told a story whenever I flipped off of a bicycle and I
yeah,
sprained both
yeah,
of my
yeah,
elbows.
yeah.
So following that horrific, painful experience, I sprained both of my elbows. They were locked at like 90-degree angles.
Oh, wow.
Like I could not budge. It was excruciating to move them like away from this position. And I just like got my hands like you have your hands on the...
Yeah, on the handlebars.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was like because I injured them and then they cooled down and I was sitting in a chair with my hands on like the armrests, and then like I finally started to get up, like I was really lightheaded, and I go to like move my arm, and it's just like nope, it's stuck there now, like it's just stuck in this position. So
that sounds horrible.
So after X-rays, all this and everything, and like basically can't move my elbow and move my arm at the elbow at all on either arm. We get back home, and I'm like, I'm really hungry, and I was like, I think you need to feed me.
Oh, wow.
So my dad had to feed me a hot dog.
Oh,
it was so embarrassing.
So cute.
It was so embarrassing.
Oh, that's adorable.
Meanwhile, my mom is just laughing at me the whole time.
That is so...
Open up.
That is
Here's your hot
so
dog.
Cute. Oh, my goodness.
So yeah, that happened because like there's
that.
no way to make your hand meet your mouth without bending at the elbow.
No, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, stuck
it doesn't. You would have to put it like up over your head and like drop it in. Oh, that's funny. But you know what? Now that you tell that story, I remember that my brother fed me hot dogs also.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Same reason?
No.
Just cuz?
Because when we were like, I was like 8 and he was like 10, we were constantly trying to break Guinness Book of World Records. We wanted desperately to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So we decided that I was going to break the record of who could like stay motionless for the longest. I don't know how it was decided that it was going to be me. Yeah. But he was like, okay, lay or sit on the couch. And I sat there and didn't move. And I'm just like, but what if I get hungry? And he's like, I'll just feed you. And I was like, okay. So the thing the thing he fed me was he just microwaved weenies and then like sliced them up. And I was like, I need mustard. Like without moving my mouth.
So he just like squirts mustard into your mouth and then drops a hot dog in there. Y'all are weird.
And I was like kind of smashing it to the roof of my mouth with my tongue because I couldn't move my mouth.
You can't chew.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Another one.
Yeah. Okay, but also feed can be like
cow feed.
Cow feed.
Chicken feed.
Which reminds me of something that your wife said one time that was hilarious, which is she used to work at Tractor Supply.
She did?
Yeah.
Damn, she's my wife. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Long time ago. And she was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, Tractor Supply. And she was like, oh, yeah. Oh, they have all kinds of cool stuff. Like they have like cow feed. And I started laughing. I was like, that is not cool. There's nothing cool about cow feed. She's like, and they have,
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, and they have like cat food.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cow feed, chicken feed.
Like they have stuff
dog food.
They have stuff you wouldn't even expect. Chicken feed. It's like, actually, I would expect
like
that.
If they didn't have that, I would be pretty upset. Okay. Our next word is carbon.
Carbon is a material which they use.
It is an element.
Oh.
On the periodic table of elements.
Oh, shit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, carbon.
What is it? C? Ca? Cr? Cb?
C. I think it's just C. Yeah, C. Yeah, C.
Oh, wow. Okay, look at you.
And number 14. Group 14 in period 2.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Well, I know that they make...
Element 6.
Oh, element 6. Wow. It's on up there.
It's a very base element, yeah.
Okay. What's element 1?
Hydrogen.
Okay. Well, all I know about carbon is that it's a thing that sometimes expensive things are made of. carbon fiber.
Oh yeah, carbon fiber
Uh-huh.
specifically. Diamonds are carbon. They are just really highly compacted carbon.
Is charcoal carbon?
It contains carbon. Yeah. Carbon is essential for composting. You add organic material and carbon-based material to create compost.
Okay.
I know this because we're doing some gardening.
Yes, they are.
No composting at the moment.
Right.
Kim actually just told me a story about, or she saw a post somewhere that somebody burned down their house on accident because their compost bucket caught fire. Because it gets that hot inside there. There's so much chemistry happening in that compost bin.
That is sad for the worms.
Yeah, especially if it's worm composting. Yeah. Not all of them have worms. Many do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So carbon, it's a noun. It's also an adjectival noun.
Carbon emissions.
There you go. Yes. What? Cars?
Yeah. Hydrocarbons specifically in that case.
Yeah. Carbon. Oh yeah. Carbon footprint. Yes.
Same.
Carbonator.
That's carbonation.
Oh, carbonation, like soft drinks? Carbonated. Yes. Like Topo Chico.
Yeah, carbonation is the process of dissolving carbon dioxide. So yeah. Because because carbon is such a base element, it's involved in, well, anything alive is carbon based.
Are we carbon based?
Yes. We are carbon based beings.
Wow.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought we were like water based.
Well, we are made up of 70% water, but the stuff that makes us living is carbon based.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really get it, but cool.
I used to understand it. Again, chemistry is like magic to me.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Like I retain a lot of information, but I don't understand it. But I have this information to draw on. But
I'm impressed with the information that you have.
Yeah, carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide is a byproduct of burning natural gas. Like natural gas. Like if you get a natural gas leak, you can get carbon monoxide poisoning, and it's odorless, tasteless, and in high enough quantities, it will kill you. So that's why natural gas has an odor added to it.
Oh, yeah.
So that you can't just fall asleep and never wake up without knowing.
Okay.
Because, yeah, natural gas has no odor naturally.
Yeah.
So they add sulfur to it, so it smells like rotten eggs.
Yeah, I knew that smells were added to some of those toxic gases.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, that's carbon.
Cool.
Yeah, carbon.
Yeah, carbon. I mean, what else can you say about that? Carbon be carbonin.
Be carbonating.
Carbon be carbonating.
And our next word is selection.
Selection is a choice.
It's only a noun.
And an adjectival noun. The selection committee.
Yeah, okay.
Natural selection. Selection section.
Well, natural selection. Natural would be the adjective to selection.
Yeah.
So selection is still a noun.
Yeah. I wasn't giving an adjectival noun.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay.
Example. Selection station, though.
Okay.
Or the selection phase.
The selection phase. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's basically a choice.
Yeah.
Another word for choice. Usually it means something tangible.
Right.
Like you select something physical. Right?
No. No.
Selection.
You can select life or death. You can select.
It's a choice. Yeah, just a synonym. It really is just a synonym for choice.
Selection, yeah.
Could you say? Do you know how people say like they use choice as a way to say like that was a great thing? You know what I'm saying? It's like that jacket is so choice.
Oh yeah.
Can we start using selection in its place now?
Yeah,
That jacket is so selection.
Yeah, it's a selection morsel. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. And obviously it comes from Latin, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've always known.
I know. I knew that you had
Known?
known.
Okay.
Always.
Always. And our next word is reduction.
Ooh. This is a good one because it's like a chef word. It's like a culinary term.
Mm-hmm.
Reduction.
Yeah, you make a reduction, like a raspberry reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I need that. I don't know what it is, but I need it.
I don't either, but it sounds good. It sounds good.
Uh-huh.
Reduction. So, it comes from, and I don't know why or how to like make this make sense, but Latin duco ducere, which
We've had that one before.
we have. Well, that's a root word that's part of a lot of words, but that means to lead.
Okay.
And then is again. So reduce actually means to lead again, or to lead back. To take back. Let's just say.
Yeah, to take
that
back.
makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funnier if you say to lead again because it's just like bewildering. But
how did we arrive at this?
Yeah, it's like, wait, what? To take back, to like reduce, to make it go down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because reduction is usually, and I am no chef, nor am I a cook. I actually should probably stay the hell out of the kitchen. But my understanding is that a reduction is you take something and you cook it longer so that it removes moisture from thus reducing it to more concentrated.
Yeah, it's like a concentration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
What else for reduction?
Reduction, a reduction in workforce, a reduction in pay, a decrease.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, synonym for decrease.
Yes. Reduction. It can also be can it be used kind of like deduction?
Reduction. No, deduction and reduction I think are different enough that they can't be used in place of each other. Because to deduct.
Oh, it is used like that's a reduction.
Because can you reduct anything? Because you can deduct.
Well, I don't know. I don't think reduct. I don't know if it's probably a word, but I have heard reduction used as like, if you minimize something, like if you, let's say you're trying to minimize my experience, like that's an insulting reduction.
Yeah.
Of
reductive.
It's reductive, a reductive analysis or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To make it less, to make it smaller. That's very reductive of you. It's like if you take a kind of a complex idea and then try to like boil it down to
oversimplify.
Oversimplify it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a reduction.
Yeah, boil it down, reduction. Wow.
Yeah.
Circle right back to food.
We circled right on back.
Oh, wow, look at us.
So look at what we just did.
And our last word is height. This is how tall you is.
Yeah, height. This is a very hard word to teach my students. Because the spelling is very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who thought it should be hate?
Well, that's how it used to be pronounced before the great vowel shift. Yes.
Oh.
That's why, hecht. Hecht.
Oh.
That's why our spelling is so weird, is because of the great vowels. The great vowel shift. And whenever the pronunciation of words changes, the spelling follows like a few hundred years later. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So it used to be hecht.
Hecht.
But yes. But my students, there's no way that they're ever going to be able to say that word. Ever.
Height.
Yeah.
Height.
I mean, they're never going to be able to say it while looking at it.
Oh, I was like, wait until they get to height.
Right.
Yeah.
Height. Which is height. Wrong.
The height. Yeah, people do say that.
They do.
Yeah.
But that's just like...
It's just height.
It's just height.
Hold on. I bet you Miriam has added it by now.
Height?
Yeah.
Height?
Height is a non-standard colloquial variant of the word height.
Yeah. Plebes.
It is in Merriam-Webster's.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a real word now. Just like literally does not literally mean literally.
It's not really the same.
I know. But
Because literally now means the opposite of literally. But height is just a different pronunciation for height.
yeah.
So it's the tallness.
Yeah. Distance from lowest point to highest point.
Yeah. And that reminds me of whenever my students say, her hair is very tall. They want to say long, but they say tall.
Her hair is very tall.
Or, wow, you're so long.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
There's a comic that I follow on Instagram. Not that I'm on Instagram like hardly ever, but it's called Strange Planet. And it's basically aliens living human lives. And just the language is ridiculous. They call like tall people is like, you're a very long being.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just full of stuff like that. Like,
yeah. And it's really funny if you think of the difference between tall and long. And I feel like the difference is where the weight is centered. Because for long, the weight is centered at the top and going down. Whereas for tall, the weight is centered at the bottom and going up.
see, I would think it was orientation. I would say tall is vertical and long is horizontal.
Well, I was thinking of long hair.
Oh.
That's not horizontal.
But it's also not entirely vertical.
I think it's more vertical than horizontal.
But it has to grow like horizontal first and then it can go vertical.
But the thing that makes it long is the down part.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Or maybe it's about the source from whence it came.
Yeah.
Did it come from the top? It's long. Did it come from the bottom? It's tall.
Tall.
You know, trees are tall. Vines are long.
But vines come from the bottom.
Not the ones I know.
They just grow out of the sky.
Okay, I think it's about the uprightness. Tall is more it's like rigid, you know what I'm saying? Like it's upright.
Yeah, it
Long
has
flows.
it has solid unquestioning verticality.
Right.
Yeah.
Long just kind of is floppy. You know?
Gross.
Like, what?
Why floppy?
Like long floppy rabbit ears.
Yeah.
Are you gonna tell me that's gross?
No.
No.
That's not.
That's adorable.
That's adorable.
It is.
Yeah. That long floppy dick though.
Right. There's that.
There is that.
There's that long ass day.
Long ass day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's long and it's not floppy. So like what are y'all talking about right now?
The microphone boom.
Yeah.
Damn it. So those words are feed, carbon, selection, reduction, and height.
Height.
Yes.
Height.
Height. So the prompt again is I was laughing so hard that I could no longer breathe and tears streamed down my face.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rachel, basically every time we record.
Yes.
Every
it's
time.
Great. I love it so much. And you could take this in a positive direction or in a darker direction.
Yeah, we mentioned tickling is torture.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a matter of torture. Or it could be like you're losing your mind and you're just laughing and crying.
Absolute insanity.
Which been there.
Tuesdays, am I right?
Right, yes. Oh my God, yes.
Well, if you want to be like these wonderful writers and submit your story to You Write, head on over to our subreddit at reddit.com/r/YouWritePod.
If you're unable to submit a story this week, that's fine. You can help out by reading and commenting on other people's stories. Each time you post a story or leave a comment on someone else's submission, you increase your chances of having your story read on the podcast. You can also reach us at yourwritepod@gmail.com. If you like our show and want to help support us, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/yourwrite, which I have access to again. Woo! We are still destitute, but it's fine. It's fine. No, we don't care. We'll manage. We'll be just fine. But seriously, if you want to help us out, check out our Patreon. A cup of coffee, a beer would go a long way. A frothy one. Yes.
you'll have our everlasting respect and gratitude.
You shall. If you are unable to donate, that's fine. You can help us by sharing the podcast with other writers and non-writers alike.
If you haven't, be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now. No delay.
Right this moment.
There is no reason you shouldn't already be subscribed. So if you're not, do it.
There is no better time than the present.
Correct.
Also, be sure to leave us a rating and review in your podcatcher of choice.
Those really do help, guys.
They really do.
I would really like to see some reviews.
Same.
That would be nice.
Same.
That would be so nice.
It'd just be so sweet.
So sweet. And remember, join us next week on You Write.
A podcast where you write. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
See y'all next week.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. Boom, boom, boom.
I know.
And leave there sitting bare. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.